uh, the wife of the late Odmoro Odinga has been just been very quiet. People are just thinking that there's something which is cooking, maybe in silence. That's why maybe the government side decided to attend the dinner of ODM yesterday. Do you have any clue maybe what might be cooking in silence?
Thank you very much. I think at one given time, politics is governance. And as you know, we are in a democracy. Since we invoked the single party system in the early 90s, we migrated from the single party dictator to multi-partyism. And that one gives room for every individual to directly or indirectly take part in the political dispensation of the country. And that one involves a conversation on almost every pertinent thing that transpires in the contemporary setup, also issues governance. As you rightfully put it, we did have 20th anniversary of a big party in Kenya. They do say it emanates from the river Limpopo, to name it. They try to give it different names. But the truth of the matter is, the truth was only a culmination of what has transpired since the party was given back. And so they were trying to do that with the celebration. But remember, it came at a time when we did lose a serious killer of the party. That's the party leader in the name of. And having said that, whenever such events comes up, you literally expect divergent opinions, everybody trying to invoke any feelings he or she has, by virtue the person who was giving direction is no longer there. But then I'll tell you one simple fact that you don't have any underlying issue that is cooking within the party. As a democratic setup, that a democratic party, you expect divergent opinion from every individual. And that's what transpired. And we expect more from them. Yes.
Okay, I think the most hot topic of today it was about the security of the Republic of Kenya, where there are a lot of area this year with there are certain force which landed on our land in Mandela, and as well the government was so quiet on it, the Cuban force, and yet up to now it still exists there. Do you have that group?
Fine. Matter security is as secured as you rightfully pronounce it. You have to know that in a government setup, an institution that we call a government, there are some things that are beyond us, and more so security. We call them some of the serious pillars of leadership execution that is many a times restricted within a disciplined force. And so there could be any other arrangement that the government has that surpasses the general view of a normal dick and eye of the citizens. And so when you say, or when you see the forces camping in the Mandela, I think the truth be told, at one point it might just be as spontaneous the move that the government has executed that is not ratified in the law. But then, as long as they don't harm us, I think, according to me, I call them fugitives that have been given opportunity to have refuge in the land for a shortest time that they give food. Yes.
On the activist side, so do you think that one, the Juparan forces being in Mandela, people of Mandela that time complain that wanawadhurumu. On the activist side, you being a human light, as well as you know the lights which protects human as well, and as well the Republicans. Do you think that Jubaran force being in Kenya is right?
Not right at all. The people of Mandela are also Kenyans, and they should be protected. The taxes, they are part of this country. And so, here on the side of the government, not provide security to them and see the issue solved once and for all. And I think for the future, a point where we must look at issues from a humanity side. I mean, we must put a hidden humanity in one politics that causes all this.
Exactly.
Because I don't know why one act. I don't know why. Because, I think these conflicts are like they are funded by people who really want to separate taking away our resources. So as Africans, it's time for us to come together and find a common voice to be able to do away with the virus that's in around in any part of the country, in any part of Africa. That's there.
So I think the question was, is it right for the Jubaland forces to train to have its camp in Mandera and to just do its training there?
No, it's not right at all. Because one thing, they're from a neighboring country, and it seems because of the lawlessness in their country, that's why they've been able to come to Kenya. And there is also the issue of how we saw when there was peacekeeping in Somalia. We came together so much. The KDF went peacekeeping there. With some leaders, some corrupt leaders in power who are doing business, protecting the business of some politicians in Somalia. And so when it comes to politicize or commercialize the issue of security, then it means we don't care about human life. I was looking at the issue of Nigeria the other day, and the virus that is there, people are being killed every time by religious extremists. And there's one man who spoke, he was an army general, a former army general, and he told the people, if you do not protect yourself, you'll not be able to protect because the army, the Nigerian army, are in business with the terrorists. They're doing business with the terrorists. So there's no way, our hands are tied, we cannot protect. And you see, that's how these people are doing business with our lives. It's so sad when the security apparatus of our nation that's business going out.
Okay, from the other side of the government, so you being supporting the government is just supporting everything what the government doing. So on the Jubaland forces, the government denied that there are no Jubaland force in Kenya. So up to the time the Mandela government came out and just say that Jubaland force are on our land. Okay. Is it true that was the government lying or the Mandela government?
Let me tell you, the truth of the matter is very simple. As much as there are nitty-gritties on our security setup, but one, to answer your question, the Jubaland forces are training in Mandera, and they are camping there.
Okay.
And by virtue of our democratic state, every Kenyan will always give opinion on anything they see. And remember, we are in a global village where you can never hide anything as little as a pint of salt. So you can never hide it from the general public. And so the government cannot take the opportunity to answer any question. Because let me tell you, as far as we are concerned, the Jubaland forces are training Mandela. But according to me, I consider them as viable, however much hakuna legal framework given out to the general public why that one is done. But you see, you also have the military forces of UK training here, and they've taken Nanyuki as their birthright place, and they are doing it always. Leave alone the Jubaland issue. We've had always security forces of Uganda camping in the middle. Started way back over 10 years now, and they harass our fishermen. These people are different from the ones of Jubaland. They are different from the military forces of Britain training in Nanyuki. I want to remind you of one thing. However much this freedom of association and other freedom is giving information dissemination, there are pertinent information that the government is not expected to hide from the general public. That on the penal code that is there. But you see, there are limitations of what the government should be doing to the general public. There are information that I meant for the public consumption, and there are those that are not meant for them. And so that one culminates to me informing, since President Ruto assumed power, our security standing has improved vigorously internationally. We say our international cooperation security-wise is above board. And so far, Kenya is the first sub-Saharan country nation in Africa that has been given designated a slot in the major NATO ally. That was given out by the US in 2024. And that one raised Kenya to an extent. There are some moves we have to make as a country without even doing ratification internally. There are so many parameters in the law that we don't conform to as the general public. So when we talk, that's why sometimes you see the government doesn't want to engage much, because you will try to explain to them that there are juvenile forces in Mandera. Security-wise, they are not a threat. Are you getting what I'm saying?
I'm getting.
And you see, the general public wants explanation why are these people here. Are you getting what I'm saying? So there are international treaties that you get, the general public are not privy to. Like the same fashion, you did get Kenya government through the president on an executive order, trying to do what? To ratify to the local legal institutions like parliament, and takes our police forces to Haiti. Even at this point in time, it is still a thorn on the flesh of Kenyans. But internationally, based on our standing of the major NATO ally that was ratified in 2024, gives the government mandate to make some of these arrangements without the general participation of the public. Anything security doesn't require much of the public participation. So ours is to remain naysayers, but they have their way. Because in law, they are protected.
Okay, you have just mentioned, among the presidents, which you have mentioned Justin Migingo Islander, and as well as it was also among the agendas of the day. So there are some fishermen, I think you have just mentioned that the forces of Uganda just forces them to eat low fish, not so? And what has the government done to protect its people? Ni kazi ya serikali kuchunga watu wake, and also, so what has the government done on the protection of these people who are forced to eat low fish?
One of the reasons why Kenya has been given opportunity as the first country in the sub-Saharan Africa as major NATO ally is because of the moves and the operations, how the Kenya government operates security-wise globally. Because the truth of the matter is, on issue Migingo, the government of south of Uganda has surpassed her mandate, meaning they want to do what? To hurt Kenyans' feelings so that we react. Like the other day, you did get Museveni through the sun, trying to argue about the borderline up to the Indian Ocean. What do you expect the Kenya government to do? One, professionally the way we are, technologically the way we are, literacy the way we are. It is true, there are so many applicable avenues that can be involved to maneuver. And that's why they do some of these things. But I can tell you, almost 10 years now, the Kenya government is trying to ratify the Migingo issue with the Ugandan government. The only version is they are not coming on the table with the clean hands. Are you getting that? So, meaning, if Kenyans are going to be adamant the way you are trying to get them arguing, then the only version is to go to war. And I think that's why, where our Kenya government, based on the professionalism, our leadership tries to involve. They don't want to go the blatant way. So they negotiate on almost everything. Leave alone that. You've had so many circumstances, even if it comes to the business-wise. Our Kenyans who are doing business in Tanzania or Uganda, sometimes their goods are taken away, they are banned, they are assaulted, and at the end of the day, as a normal citizen, what do we expect? We expect retaliation. But the mode of our Kenya government handles some of these things, by virtue of our status, you realize we don't understand that there is an effort the government.
Yes. Okay, we just go to Julius area. Okay, last year there was a maandamano in South Africa. people came out, including you. And it was a very big demonstration, Mandamano in perspective of Nairobi to make them just enter parliament. The Mandamano resulted to a lot of fatalities. And besides the fatalities, there are a lot of people in Olimia, and others were arrested. Today, Wakondani, charged with the crime with terrorism. And so you as a human life, wewe ukiwa mmoja wao kwa wale wenye ambao alafu wakaachiliwa baadaye. So what step have you taken as a human rights activist for the rescue of the people in Wako in jail and according to you?
One thing that I try to do is following up cases that I report and going to offer solidarity in our courts. But I have come to realize that one of the biggest challenges we have is that our courts are so much compromised, they're so biased against poor people. And I think also one issue that's a very big challenge is corruption in our judiciary. I think a corrupt judiciary is at the biggest impediment to access to justice for the people. The other way, I was attending the case of Rex Masai, and I saw there was an event that was held, and the parents of Rex Masai were interviewed. One of the among the words that the father to Masai said is that justice seems to be inaccessible. I mean, non-existent, almost impossible. Because those people are to come daily, then the case is postponed, the accused does not appear in the court, then like you, the police chief, that is the IG and the deputy IG were summoned in the case, but they refused to appear. So it gets very hard to bring the case to a conclusion or to jail these people and punish them for what they did. It was all in the media. In fact, I thought because of what the Gen Zs came up with, like they're the ones who were doing exposing these people, like the issue of the guy who the mask guy, the hooker was setting mask in the town. That is Boniface Mwangi. He was shot by a policeman, and the policeman was covered. But the Gen Zs, through their technology, they were able to uncover him and place him here. But then when he got to court, you can imagine this is evidence. It was all there for everybody to see that it was that certain cop who shot Boniface Mwangi. But then when you go to court expecting to get justice, then the case gets going in a circle. They go back to the place that was there, was doing what, and this the information that was reviewed, I did posting up to frame these people. But it seems there's a lot of protection because the system protects its own people. The police, those who are in power, that is the IT, the deputy IT, and the top brass, the security forces in Kenya. They protect those junior officers. That's what goes on. So it has become almost impossible for these people to get justice.
You've just mentioned that there's a lot of corruption in the judiciary. Maybe we can open up and just come clean specifically how this corruption is being conducted. Who are these people in the judiciary, the specific persons in the judiciary who are corrupt, in order for us to expose them, for them to just with the corruption they're doing. If you can come just open and just say maybe a certain section of our judiciary is the one who is corrupt.
I think our courts, one, are openly corrupt, like in Makandara. You can see there's somewhere. I went there one day, and there's a room where you go to bargain with behind the scenes before you get to the judge, and you bargain how much you give, and those people they're like brokers.
their brokers who are there, and they take you back to the behind the scenes and they talk with you how much you're going to cut up so that your case can be maybe the file will be removed, or maybe you get a lenient sentence. They will get their cut, the judge will get his cut. That's what goes on daily now.
Let's go to the case which brought a lot of chaos in the country, the case of Alpha Dosua, the police who did the murder. The claims that, okay, there's some rumors that he's just outside here while Alpha Dosua is already there. And I think since that the so-called corruption which you have mentioned, is the one which is in one, which is making him to be free as for now.
Yeah, of course. The police is the most corrupt institution in Kenya. In fact, in the Standard newspaper, it was all about the corruption that goes on in the police sector, and from how it goes from the junior officers up to those who are in the big office, that their bosses, how the money is collected from the streets, let's say the matatu industry, and where they go to collect money from those who sell liquor, the bars and all that. It was the Standard has very much given details about what goes on, and so the same issue with Albert Ojwang. You know very well that the story of Albert Ojwang was taken from his home, from his parents. In fact, he was eating lunch, and it was said that he wrote a story about the deputy inspector general, that is Eric Langat, about how there's a cartel in the city that collects money, and the money ends up at the desk of Eric Langat, and that is why Albert Ojwang was killed. Actually, today, Eric Langat is still in office. So you can see the kind of the system that we have, how entrenched it is.
The Anti-Corruption Commission yesterday arrested some of the policemen. Then the most junior policemen who have been caught by and elected by Anti-Corruption Commission say that they're just being told by the seniors to collect some money from the locals and then maybe the common one, then take the money to the seniors. According to you, and according from the secret of Allah's human life, you think it's right?
It's not correct at all, but that is what happened because it's something that we have allowed to happen, and it's something that started way back. It did not start yesterday. It started way back. Another thing is that our police officers are very poorly paid, and also they are very poorly remunerated, and also their houses where they live in very poor done houses. See? So that is why they believe that the poor people are another source of income. You see, they're not satisfied with the salary that they get. So one thing we should do is to fight for the police that they be well remunerated, because they do a lot of work, and so they don't. One thing, they don't have a union that can fight for them. There isn't. And so you can imagine in this country where politicians are so much well paid. In fact, they're given a lot of money for doing nothing. See, they take a lot of the country's revenue, but we cannot pay our police well, who play a very big role in the security issues of the country. That is why the police end up extorting money from the poor people. So this is a systemic problem that we have in our hands, but we are refused to deal with it.
Leading back to the police sector, if I can just ask, at that time, the minister, the CS of Interior, just to say the police ya kuomba pesa hiyo ni pesa ya mafuta, and kulingana na wewe, unaona hiyo ni halali kweli polisi kupatiwa pesa?
Fine. Let me tell you. When we discuss issue discipline force, let it not be a self-exclusive case, because when you are bed crime, you are an accomplice. Like my brother here always takes his life on the lifeline to try to talk about the sanity that is expected in the public, generally in the society. So his life is in the lifeline, trying to agitate for the right cause. But you see, we are identically trying to handle those who are in the offices. But they are accomplished, we live scot-free. Like, let me tell you, we have a society with proper frameworks, start from the constitution. We don't have deficit in terms of our legal frameworks, be it bylaws, be it decision on papers, be it policies. They are super. But now, the problem emanates from the spirit of the bylaws, the constitution, name it. It starts from us. We don't have the spirit of the structure that we have in place. Because, like, for example, we say our police officers are corrupt. We say our police officers are poorly remunerated. We say all those sorts of things. The moment we've given these people lifeline, that they don't get the best out of their sweat, that one already we are abetting the crime. And let me tell you, with the Ruto's government, there are so many factors he's trying to consider. But remember, some of these weaknesses have not started from the moment Mheshimiwa Rais ascended to power. There are history problems. And now, when it comes to taking bribes, I castigate the police as well as I castigate the general public. Because, like, for example, now, somebody goes and brings a problem. If that person is arrested, he or she is the first person who is giving a clarion call. Can you have this so that you give me back my freedom? And so, what do you expect that person to do? The truth of the matter is, money is scarce. Even if one police officer is going to be paid $1 million, of course, we have 185,000 police officers in Kenya. That is way back, way below the normal threshold expected internationally. Now, what I can only say is very simple. Whatever vices our discipline process are in, or any employee even mandate to offer services to the general public, we are the promoters of some of these vices. And if we are going to live by the dream of our constitution, I don't think these things are going to happen.
So,
because, like, yeah.
So according to you,
yes,
Kenyans are the one forcing for it to take place.
This thing is not about the police alone. Like you heard my brother trying to talk about the judiciary. You pressed him on. But it is not only where he's talking about. This thing is everywhere. And what is my clarion call as a serious proponent of good delivery and good governance? The good governance starts from me and you. Security can only be given out to the people who are supposed to do it, to abet crime. They cannot manage. Like now we are sitting here. Do you know what I'm thinking? You might be a police officer. Sometimes I'm thinking to go and kill the next door. And we leave one another and I go and proceed and kill. What will you do? You are going to handle the aftermath. And the aftermath, the illegal minds are also given opportunity to work with evidence. Are you getting what I'm saying? So some of these things, it is us to manage them. Our bad manners cannot be abetted, and we expect delivery from those who will abet bad manners. So that's the rationale. If you come to the kind of policies of how the police has been handled, you have to remember that one, Mheshimiwa Ruto, the first day in the office, he ensured he gave the police force autonomy, financial autonomy. They are now regulating themselves financially. That one is not enough. Come to welfare. The welfare, the moment he entered, the lowest and constable was given a salary increment of 40%. But equally, it's not enough. There are people who are living with 6,000. People like me, I operate within 200,000, but it doesn't even, it's not so. I get what I'm saying. There's somebody running at $1 million. So I always tell people, the denominator is good manners. Kwa sababu, let me tell you, income and expenditure are very good friends. Today you are staying in a rental house of $1 million shillings. You are paid 10 million. The next thing, you go and stay in Sibira what? A villa running to 200 million every month. So the appetite of good life is with humanity. And so our police forces, however much we demonize them, but there's much being done. But because we've entrenched bad manners in them, leave alone the police force, start from their recruitment. You go and recruit a child who doesn't even know how to hold a jembe to go and fight in the terrain. That child will not manage. The best that child is going to do is to flag people down and collect bribes. The other day we did give out the reform unit, a task force through Maraga. What did the task force do? They tried to come up with a policy of how police can be run for this. One unified command center. You come from the NPS, National Police Service, come from the Kenya Prison Service, come to NYS, expected to be coordinated through one command center for efficient delivery. But you get them, the police officers themselves, they are not supporting that. The government has gone as far as modernizing and technologizing the system how police operates. How is this one happening? They came up with a forensic lab. The forensic labs will be able to support the government to an extent. Crime abetting becomes very easy, and ensuring that prosecution is done smoothly the right way. But the discipline forces who are supposed to handle that are not never here or there. They are not compliant. I'm going to go that say. So, in a nutshell, according to me, it is not holistically the police force. Remember, probably you are young, but my brother, I think, was there. When Kibaki came in, he gave the general public opportunity to do police officers, community policing. Police officers were being arrested in broad daylight, soliciting bribes, and it was working. All of a sudden, it is the same public who are saying, you are mishandling our forces. You are mishandling them. So what happened? They were left to go back to their normal ways. So that's the way.
From your side, maybe humanize about the corruption on the police station and on the police service. Do you think Kenyans should continue giving out money to police?
I did not.
Do you think Kenyans wataendelea kuwa bribe the police service?
I think corruption itself is a very big a problem in Kenya. And I think to uproot corruption, we need to change not only the system we have, but also we need to change our mindset. As a brother is saying, it's not about just one person. It's about all of us. I mean, the problem is everywhere. It's viruses are spread everywhere. So I think we need to feel that patriotism towards our country should be there, and it's lacking right now. I'm saying patriotism towards our country, our soil, not towards politicians. And I think when we start to understand that this country is for us, and if we well manage this country, we are doing good to ourselves, and not only to ourselves, but also for posterity. So I think that that patriotism should be kind of made to be there for people to see that we are destroying our country through being corrupt. Like our leaders, those who are up there, because obviously corruption happens, big corruption, and when you talk about the police corruption, the police correct bribe, it's still corruption, and it still affects the nation, and it does a lot of damage. But then this corruption happens because the people in the big office are stealing a lot. So this money should have gone into the providing services that should be there. And when these services are not provided, that is where we see so many problems arising. As I was saying, the police are poorly paid. They're poorly paid. They say there's no money, but there's money there's money for politicians to steal and to spend on lavish lifestyles. But there's no money to pay police officers. The same thing we pay. Our doctors are poorly paid. Our teachers are poorly paid. But our politicians are so well paid. That's the problem we have. we must try to make our politics unattractive. Yeah.
Okay. The president said that in the near future, he just want Kenya to be Singapore. Do you think in the lane, the time which he has just remained with North, is going to achieve that?
Let me tell you, the government doesn't work, they always works on a strategic plan. And the strategic plan doesn't start with the Mheshimiwa Ruto Ransom. With the Kibaki setup, we did have the Vision 2030. And some of these things are what has culminated to even building the northern bypass and the infrastructure setup we are seeing around. The Mheshimiwa Uhuru Kenyatta did work them out. The blueprint was emanated from Kibaki's government. Equally, Mheshimiwa Ruto is now working on the Maimai roads, the ones Mheshimiwa Uhuru Kenyatta started. So that's the way we are riding to the Singapore way. The only version is that we have to handle the cancer of corruption my brother is talking about. And the cancer of corruption is, my friend, it is basically based on our moral standard. And they do say you cannot legislate morals. Moral starts with you, moral starts with you. It ends with the institution that is powers bestowed on. And so, according to me, I believe with the patience and resilience, and Kenyans are aggressive in terms of how they are working on their per capita to ensure that their country goes to the next level. They are going to achieve it. Because the moment we have proper infrastructure, we shall have given a hub of how we are going to generate more revenue so that we have our per capita. The moment we are going to work on our infrastructure, it is going to be super. The moment we are going to improve our education, that is already above all. We have excess workforce. We have young people who are brilliant. They know what they want. They know where they can go. Their age allows them. Their vigor allows them. It is only a matter of opportunity to be given by the institutions to ensure that they execute. The only avenue after working on our infrastructure that I foresee Mheshimiwa Ruto is achieving, if we don't engage in dirty politics and murky waters of it, trying to alienate an institution from the general public, then I think we are going to achieve it. After Mheshimiwa Rais have ensured that now we are going to go for the production aspect. From here, we go to the production aspect, meaning we need to have food security. After attaining the food security, he has to go full throttle to divert the country's industry to be manufacturing. With that, we are going to go the Singapore way. But that one is pegged on his and my opinion and others. We have to do away with the vice of corruption. Because get it right from me. How do you say SHA is not working? Institutions are there, the framework is there, the right, the personnel is there, and you collect revenues from the employees and you don't remit. Like let's say the county government of Nairobi, collecting, deducting SHA from the employees and not remitting. So when somebody walks into the hospital intended to be treated by SHA, that remittance is not there. When you come out, what happens? SHA is not working. You can never develop an institution with the same people. People must be able to produce. Are you getting what I'm saying? So our mindset of Kenyans must be superb in terms of where we want this country to go. And that's why, because mentally we are derogative. That's why sometimes you are getting Mheshimiwa Rais bulldozing. Because you have the right blueprint, but they want you to beg them to implement. You bulldoze. And that's why they say, professionally, as a leader, you give direction. But if the direction is not working applicable, what do? You dictate. And that's what Ruto is doing. With the fullness of time, this thing Mheshimiwa Rais is bulldozing, you'll see their value. Like right now, let me tell you. Sometimes for somebody who's not coming from Western Kenya, Rironi Mau Summit Road is not viable economically. Nyakera did advise Mheshimiwa Uhuru Kenyatta that it is not viable to put money in the Rironi Mau Summit Road. Are you getting that? But what is missing here? The economic sense Nyakera was also seeing is that the moment you shall have opened the Western hub, you will already decentralize the economy to the Western world. Those who are doing business in the Western world, we know business moguls in Kenya, they are Kikuyus. Are you getting that?
you open for them that hub, they trade there. Those who are there are consumers. Jaluo doesn't do business. So you shall have added the per capita of the Kikuyu nation. They go to get money there. These people also get services there. The movement becomes very easy. For you to expect somebody from the Koba to sleep in a bus, expecting to go and do business in Sori and Homa Bay. This person will be moving from his or her house 4 hours you go Sori. He or she doesn't need to sleep in the bus. Are you getting what I'm saying? What shall have that one done? You shall have improved the what? The per capita. And that's what is heading us to the Singapore way. There's another version here that if the government is collecting and we are positive, we don't need to export the workforce. That workforce will be working here because there will be money to pay them. Are you getting what I'm saying? This money being lost is not going to be there. Yeah, so that's the average. Yes.
We're just on your the protector. Now, on the protector side, there was people who you work with them. I think when Kawa study, what's it called?
The
Scarport.
Yeah.
That was Scarport. So then it was a Sabasaba for this year. So there was some colleagues who were also arrested, charged with the same terrorism. And then from there, the families are out of here. Yesterday we had one here in our show saying that crying for them and that the charges which their king was accused was terrorism, was calling for terror. Do you think they deserve the charges which they were charged?
I think the charges were so extreme because this was a protest done by Kenyans. It is the people of Kenya who came to a point and saw that things are not going well. We are tired of corruption, we are tired of bad governance, and we want to be heard. And it's not a crime to air our grievances, or it was no crime at all. Everybody has got a right to air their grievances. So I think that is it was so absurd that these people had to be charged with terrorism charges. I was also in the Vika locals and I saw very young men. Some of them were crying. The parents were crying. Because they could not understand why they were being charged with those kind of charges. And we have had like these charges, like Kahawa Rokos was especially or particularly established for dealing with terrorism. That is mostly international terrorism. In fact, it is funded by, I think, the government of Netherlands or some, because it's about international terrorism. But here we came here and we called our children who came into the streets unarmed. We are calling them terrorists. That is by doing that we are radicalizing these people. Because the only thing these people say is that we don't have jobs. We want the government to see how they can provide jobs for the youth. And so I believe it's time for us to dismantle these systems that try to stop the people from expressing themselves. Because we need ideas. If this country is going to take off, we need new ideas. We need new people who have not been there in power, who will come up and revitalize the country and bring a new way of doing this. Because I think this is what this country is crying for. It's crying for justice. And as it is in this quote, our quote refused to provide justice. As for me, I believe that true justice is to be found in the heart of men. And when you see people coming out in the streets, they are saying our systems have failed us, our courts have failed us. They have tried to protect those who are committing crimes, and that is why you see many of the people who are in jail today. Most of them are innocent people, and the real criminals are in the streets. The real criminals, we elect them into power. That's what we are going to do if we are not going to change our mindset. Going to these elections, if we are not going to change our mindset, we're still going to turn these people into power. Because if we have the same mindset, there's no way we are going to save ourselves through the ballot.
Okay, the other time when we were at the human rights headquarters, I think you were among the people who just had called for that place. So you just say that Kenya, Uganda, and Tanzania are working together to silence their critics, the people who are criticizing them. And we just saw our brother came just from Uganda, who was just released from Uganda some days ago, after that 9 days. Nicholas Oyo and Bobu Judge came from Uganda. So there's another thing. There are some two people who were shot in Tanzania. Still, they are really over the Japan. You now as an activist, you admit, you buy that Kenya, Uganda, and Tanzania are working together to silence their critics.
So I think, yes, to some extent, I can admit that these people are working together. And you know, we've seen before, even before in the other elections, we had stories of Ugandan people. When there was violence in Kisumu, if you can remember, it was said that the Ugandan forces entered into Kenyan territory to crush the people who are protesting. And so to say that is very right. Again, we are seeing how in Tanzania it's happening. People are being killed in a very, very cruel way. And these people are also trying to hide the cruelty that they are visiting on the people by shutting down the internet. And it's so sad that because these people are just trying to express themselves. This means we have never matured as a democracy. I don't think we should even be called a democracy. I don't believe there is democracy in Africa. There's no democracy at all because when these people are coming out, they are in essence saying we want change, and change should be encouraged, not crushed. Because after all, these people are not going to be there forever. These people who are in power, they will not be there forever. It's right for a person, for a human being to admit their mistakes and acknowledge and kind of feel repentance so that the nation can have a closure and move on. And so the issue of what we saw happening to Bob Jage and Nicholas Oyo, it was very wrong. It should never happen because we should be encouraging cross-border ties in our East African community. We should be encouraging to open our borders so that people can travel freely and also trade freely. We should not be fighting. And that is where I see, and I don't want to be economic of the truth at all, that there is a hidden hand that controls the politics of Africa. And I think this is about neo-colonialism. Today we call it neo-colonialism, but it's still colonialism. I think we must ask ourselves why most of the people in the youth in Africa still cannot find jobs. They cannot live decent lives. They cannot afford the basic necessities of life. I was in Uganda the other day, and there I found there's a lot of young people at the kind of economic activity they engage in is riding borders. And I don't think that is a very viable economic undertaking for people who are coming up, who should be the pillar of the nation. So I believe that that kind of where do our resources go? Why is it not changing the lives of our people? These are the questions that we should be talking about because we know one thing: we have resources. Our country is rich in resources, but where do they go? Where is our economy depending on aid from American, Britain, those other countries? So I think it's time for us to broaden our minds and ask the difficult questions so that we can change the lives of our people.
Just thinking back to the topic, the security sector. When President Ruto was coming to power, he promised that there will be no more bandits in Kenya. And still, the people of Baringo are not granted. They don't have that guarantee that they are in full protected by the government. Since we just kuna banditry happens here in Baringo. So, what do you think? Do you think that the government has done enough for the protection of the people of Baringo?
Thank you very much. Literally, I have to agree with you. One, population index of the Kenya as a country is ranging to almost 52 million. The population index of our digital process in the name of NPS, National Police Service, is 185,000. If you give yourself a percentage variation, you realize the expectation of one police person manning identical population index is way below the expected in the national standard. And that's why at one point community policing comes in. But the truth be told, as we've depicted before, some of these things are narrowed down to personal discipline. I want you to understand my case that with the Baringo, you are talking about Baringo, I'll talk of West Pokot. I'll talk of West Pokot, I'll talk of Turkana, I'll talk of Baringo, then equally I'll talk of Elgeyo Marakwet. If you are very analytical about these communities, banditry is more or less culturally inclined. So managing it calls much beyond the use of the bullet and the police. But having said that, you'll have to agree with me, the government has tried very much to abet it. And to an extent, as that we are talking now, there's no police school closed in Baringo, Marakwet, Turkana, or West Pokot, for that matter, because of banditry. In fact, the aspect that is very clear, you realize that the banditry aspect is more or less a cultural thing. They operate like terrorists. There are people who camouflage, then ambushes, then they do what? They go and hide. And this is the approach of how it is. But so far, I can attest to you, my friend, the kind of expectation limitations that we have, that is natural. The truth be told, the government has tried, but then they've not done it as per a normal, perfect human being will always want. That is always equally not there. But so far, over that, they've tried to mitigate. Yes.
Okay, I think we are coming to an end of the show today, yeah? Since time is just lashing since we had the next show. And we just wanted to finish at 9, but unfortunately, we just reached 9:20. So maybe if we can end there, you want to call it a day. So maybe final remarks. You can just wait the comment and maybe just give a final remarks on the security issue and as well as some of Kenyans who their lives have been somebody.
I believe the issue of security, especially cause of insecurity, is poverty. Poverty is threat towards national security. So if you are sitting here with the police forces, the leaders of this country, I will tell them to address the issue of insecurity in our country, address the issue of poverty. You cannot address the issue of poverty by killing or arresting whatever the killing of that is, or the crime doers. But what you do is to address the problems of the community and the problems of the gap the same way, therefore, of insecurity will go up. They go hand in hand, they go together. Let us address the issues that not politics all day. and or here and now and then. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. Mine is just very simple. Let us change our moral standards because we can never legislate your morals as a people. Equally, the authority concerned, more so in the discipline process, let them ensure that they take advantage of the autonomy given to them financially. Let them make use of the modernized technology. Let them take advantage of the reforms that are there. Let them up their game on controlling banditry and terrorism, as well as let them take advantage over being recognized as major and NATO ally in the sub-Saharan African nations. And besides that, I can only tell the Kenyan people, if at all it has to be, it is up to us. If you want to misbehave, then you expect the police will take charge. You know the obvious. Thank you.
That's what he said.